Part 143. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1421. Feng Qingxiu understood instantly. You want me to apply for a dormitory? Of course the staff dormitory is suitable. The location, environment, and housing area are superior. If not, then the next best thing is to apply for a student dormitory. Seeing Lu Zhang nodding in agreement, Feng Qingxiu stared at him for a long time and said speechlessly, "Then who will take care of the child when I am in class? I can't take the child to class. One person may be accommodated and take him with him. There are 4 of them in the school, and even the old leader's face may not be easy to use." "I didn't say I would let you stay," Lu Zhang couldn't help but said. "What do you mean? If you don't let me live, how can you let others live?" "Take care of the child alone." Feng Qingxiu was incredulous. "Dad is taking care of Zibao at home, so he must not disturb the elderly anymore. It is not easy for Zibao's study to get on the right track." "Others, who are you looking for? Tianzi or Au? Our 2 children will be 18 next year and they should have life plans. How can we ask them to take care of our children? Let them take care of the children. If you apply for a faculty dormitory with a courtyard, you and your mother can live together. You have classes during the day and they take care of the children. If you can only apply for a student dormitory, let them live there. Send the child to you tonight." Lu Zhang summoned his nephew confidently, and then said, "It can take up to 2 years, or 1 year at a time. What's the delay? They both have no ambition and are unwilling to join the army. Let them study hard while they are young and live with you at Capital University. You will definitely meet those professors who are in trouble. Just teach them some knowledge and it will be enough for them. 7 years later, the door to the college entrance examination will be opened. Their ages will meet the regulations and they will be allowed to take the college entrance examination and take the serious exam. University." Lu Zhang selectively forgot that there was a large group of academic Taishan Baidu living at home. And what about Feng Qingxiu? She herself would be overage 7 years later, otherwise she really wanted to take the college entrance examination 7 years later, go to college openly, and be a legitimate college student who would not be denied because of the times. "I can't take the college entrance examination, so I can only rely on these children. Tianzi, Au, and Xiaoun must take part. Aiken is exactly 30 years old. If you want to take part, you can, because I remember the rule is under 30. Including those who are 30 years old. There are many people who lie about their age. I remember that my neighbor's uncle in my previous life lied about his age when he took the college entrance examination. He would not tell anyone who asked him his true age. It was really a gathering of influential people. The connections you make cannot be underestimated." Feng Qingxiu sighed and felt a little regretful. She regretted that she could not participate in that gathering. When she said this, she suddenly remembered that Guancheng was also in the capital. "Is it necessary to live on campus? I didn't enroll in school. I didn't see the exact according to the regulations. It would be better if you are a day student. Rent a house near Capital University and call Aiken over. With 1 more nephew, they can take better care of the children, and Guancheng has experience in raising children. Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu are a little childish, so Feng Qingxiu becomes as scoundrel as her husband." After the rogue couple discussed it, Lu Zhang called Cheng Baoqiu the next day. "I originally wanted to send an urgent telegram, but I was afraid that the telegram would not be clear, and the 2 children had to get to Beijing quickly. There was not much time before the school started on September 1st. I would have to report, get the certificate, and sort it out on August 29th or 30th. Luggage accommodation." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1422. After receiving a call from Lu Zhang and hearing the news and requests he asked him to convey to Lu's father and others, Cheng Baokyo was very happy for Feng Qingxiu. Oh, going to school is a great thing. You must go to school. When I chatted with your aunt, I often said that your wife is not bad at all in all aspects. She just lacks a diploma that represents her education level. Otherwise, what kind of job can she find? Not so. We don't care if we have proof of education, but outsiders don't think so. When recruiting workers in various government agencies and factories, apart from hard work, who doesn't care about education? As for you asking your two children to take care of your children, don't delay them. For studying at home, I have a good candidate here. Lu Jiang's heart moved when he heard Cheng Baokyo said that he had someone to choose. He didn't ask Cheng Baokyo who the candidate was. Cheng Baokyo laughed and cursed, "Good boy, you guessed it, right? That's right, it's your third aunt. Let your third aunt help take care of the children, and hire a nanny to do the housework. Isn't that great? How can this be done? No, no, how can we let my aunt take care of our children?" Lu Jiang kept shaking his head. After shaking it for a few times, he remembered that Cheng Baokyo could not be seen in Huihei City, so he had to stop. Cheng Baokyo said seriously, "Why not? Why is it inappropriate? Your aunt is retired and has nothing to do at home. How about taking care of your children for a few days? It is your filial piety to let her enjoy the joy of making grandchildren. Although we have no children, I have never regretted it, but I know that your aunt feels envious when she sees her peers taking care of their children. You don't know that in the short half-year since Zibao came back, your aunt has been finding reasons to go to the Wanglu Brigade every few days." This, Lu Jiang hesitated. "Don't be ridiculous. Your aunt is 100 times more familiar with the capital than you two. She is familiar with the land and people. It is convenient for her to do anything. Isn't Comrade Chen Swiniang in the capital? This is even better. The sisters can get together again. The most important thing you haven't considered is that although your wife is an aunt and Tianzi and Au are nephews, the two children are not young and your wife is good looking and looks young, so our family doesn't think it's a big deal. We can't control what outsiders say. If we can't control it, what they say is terrible." Lu Jiang felt a shiver in his heart. His nephews had grown up in front of his wife since childhood. He ignored this problem for a moment, and he never thought that anyone would think so. He thought it was enough that it was not Lu's father who came. It is definitely not appropriate for Father Lu to take care of the child. Father-in-law and daughter-in-law are most afraid of gossip. Cheng Baokyo knew that Lu Jiang had listened to what he said before he heard Lu Jiang's response. "Your wife has received special instructions from the old leader. She can apply for a faculty dormitory based on this. Absolutely no one will disagree. Your aunt is here, mother. It's much more suitable for the two of them to live together and raise their children than for Tianzi and Au." At this point, Cheng Baokyo sighed and said sincerely, "Ah Jiang, your aunt and I don't have a child behind us. From now on, we will have to rely on you and Zioxu to provide for us until we die. Your uncle's family has a great business and many descendants. Right and wrong. Yeduo, your aunt and I have never thought about their children taking care of our affairs. So, what does it matter if we pay you a little now? Your aunt will not be able to accept your and Zioxu's filial piety when she gets old." Now that the words have come to this, Lu Jiang would be out of character if he refuses any more. He solemnly said, "Then please trouble Auntie to come to Beijing as soon as possible. Qingxiu is packing her bags here and will set off soon." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1423. Wang Quilin had nothing to do after retirement. She always felt that she was useless for anything in life. She was very lost and then depressed. Suddenly she heard her husband say that Feng Qingxiu went to school and needed her to take care of the children, and she suddenly came to life. It feels so good to be needed by your family. Wang Quilin is full of energy and happily buys things, packs her luggage, and redeems national food stamps. The soldiers and horses have not moved, but the food and grass go first. Wang Quilin's grain and oil relations were all in Huihei City. When she arrived in the capital, she had nothing. Naturally, she had to bring enough rations first, and ask Cheng Baoqiu to send the rest on a monthly basis until her address was confirmed in the capital. Because she was afraid of not being able to make it in time, she first sent her luggage and food to Wang Xinzhen's home, and then took a flight from Jinling to Beijing. As for Cheng Baoqiu, she had already forgotten it. When Wang Quilin arrived in the capital, Lu Zhang also asked for leave to send his wife and children to the capital and gathered at Wang Xinzhen's home. On the phone, Lu Zhang and Cheng Baoqiu agreed to meet at Wang Xinzhen's home so that they would not be unable to find each other. There was no need for Feng Qingxiu to apply for student dormitories and staff dormitories. Wang Xinzhen and Guo Yan found a house for them after knowing the instructions issued by the old leader. It was near Capital University and only took 20 minutes to go to and from school. Distance. Guo Yan smiled and said, "I know you can't let go of your child, so you will definitely take your child with you, so I prepared a house for you first." "Thank you, Auntie. We originally planned to apply for student dormitories or staff dormitories." Feng Qingxiu was a little embarrassed and her face was very red. "When I went to school, everyone was busy with their work. Aunt Quilin even came here to take care of us." "Child. Why are you so polite?" Wang Quilin interrupted and asked Wang Quilin directly, "Is there an owner of the house?" Guo Yan said hurriedly, "There is no owner, it is owned by the state. After the commotion in the past 2 years, how dare private houses be rented out? This house is an old house that was nationalized and was given to Capital University in the early years. A professor lived there. After the death of the old professor and his wife, no one cared about the house. The door was leaky, overgrown with weeds, and half of the house collapsed. Housing in the city was so tight that the housing management office didn't take care of it. His uncle rented it and found someone to move it out. I bought 2 carts of old bricks and tiles, and worked hard for several days, and finally got something done. Why is it so neglected and dilapidated?" Feng Qingxiu was very puzzled. Housing in the city was in short supply, and it was similar across the country. Of course, the housing shortage was the most severe in Shanghai. Guo Yan coughed twice. "It is said that the housing management allocated it to which unit? The allocation was unfair. Several families quarreled, and then they were all assigned to the newly built building. At that time, the old house collapsed due to a heavy snowfall. It is not easy for ordinary people to get some bricks and tiles. Who is willing to take over this mess? Moreover, the old house is an old culture, and no one cares about it, so the housing management office took it back." Feng Qingxiu expressed her understanding. "Anyway, there are always some strange reasons for many things, which made her, a new era woman from decades later, have no other reaction except to be stunned." Wang Xinzhen couldn't help but said, "Actually, it's nice to live in our house. Qingxiu and I both understand the good intentions of uncle and aunt, but it is inconvenient to get in and out," Lu Zhang answered. "The compound where Wang Xinzhen and the leaders live is so strict. They have to be interrogated every time they come in and out. It is better to live outside. He will try his best to let his wife and children live in this compound instead of living in Wang Xinzhen's house for a long time." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1424. Wang Xinzhen also knew that nothing he said would be of any use. Even though Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu were young and stubborn, they were stubborn. After dinner, my wife and I sent them to the house that we had packed up. When they were about to reach their destination, the car passed by the gate of a Zuman compound with 5 steps and 1 post. Wang Xinchen said to Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu, who were sitting in the back seat, "Did you see that? Mr. Lu lives here. Not long after we moved here. If you have any problems, just knock on the door and find him. Anyway, his guards won't stop Qingxiu." Feng Qingxiu huffed and leaned on the car window to look out. Sure enough, they were heavily guarded. The weather was hot, so the car windows were always open, which was convenient for her to look out. At the same time, she also saw many passers-by being cautious when passing by the entrance of the compound, not daring to take a breath. "Is this the courtyard?" Feng Qingxiu said. "There are actually many types of so-called compounds. The old leader lived in the political center, in Haize, among the red walls. The military compound was also called a compound. The sanatoriums, courtyards, and other places where top leaders lived outside were also called compounds. It's called a compound, and it has the same 5-step, 1 post, 10-step 1 post. However, without exception, the real compound is the one where the old leader lives and Lu Shui lives. Those who can be called big courtyard brothers are definitely not the big courtyard brothers of the army, but the elders of the family who once lived in the Red Wall courtyard and the Zuman courtyard and mountain sanatorium outside. People such as Zhang Xiaoyu, Wang Zonghua, Lu Yi, and others are high-ranking cadres. Children also refer to the elders in the family who are civilian cadres above the deputy senior official level and military cadres above the deputy military level. Not all children of cadres can be called the children of high-ranking cadres. Well, Zibao, Fuebao, and the triplets can now be considered as high-ranking disciples. Wang Xinchen heard what Feng Qingxiu meant and smiled and said, "That's it, many veterans of our country live in such a compound, but not many of them live with us. Where we live, this is the office location." Feng Qingxiu understood, very clearly. Compared with the Zuman compound where Lu Shui lives, the old house next door to Wang Xinchen and Guoyan is like a small sparrow to a colorful phoenix. The paint on the doors and windows has long been mottled, and the gray bricks and tiles are all gray. It's a courtyard, not big, but not small either. It has 3 main rooms, 2 wing rooms on the left and right, and a kitchen and toilet. There is a pomegranate tree in the yard. I don't know how it survived. Now the green leaves are whirling, dotted with green-skinned pomegranates. The branches are almost hanging down. In time, there will be a harvest. Guoyan came down and brought Feng Qingxiu in. After unlocking the door, he handed her the key. There is no well in the yard, so waiting for the water tanker to deliver water every day is not a problem, so I pulled a water pipe from Mr. Lu's house. A faucet is installed in the kitchen. Although Mr. Lu said that the water fee is not worth mentioning, when it comes time to pay the water fee, you have to be responsible. We cannot take it for granted. I remember, and Feng Qingxiu naturally understood Guoyan's kindness. Wang Quilin likes Fu Bao the most now. She pulled Fu Bao around and said with a smile on her face, "This house is nice. It doesn't matter if the yard is a little small. The triplets want to play. Xuanyang and I will take them next door." Wang Quilin used to be a soldier under Mr. Lu. She was brought out by Mr. Lu, so the relationship was naturally very good. Chen Xuanyang was Han Ye's savior. How could Mr. Lu not open the door for them? It is estimated that Wang Xinchen found this courtyard for them to live because he did not have to worry about personal safety. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1425. Lu Zhang only took 3 days leave in total, and had to leave in a hurry after settling down his wife and children. The next day was August 29. Feng Qingxiu got up very early, cooked a meal, ate some for herself, and hurried to the school. Only when reporting, she discovered that the students in the foreign language department were basically military students, and they were generally in their 2nd year of school. Around 10 years old, all of them are wearing military uniforms of the sea, land, and air force. They are full of energy, both men and women. Just looking at the way they walk, they are completely different from the children of workers and peasants. In other words, there is an age limit for worker, peasant, and soldier students, who are all around 20 years old. Although Feng Qingxiu was much older than them, and she deliberately toned down her clothes and makeup, she still looked young, and no one could tell that she was actually 28 years old. Moreover, she had special approval from the old leader, and the faculty and staff responsible for the reporting were extremely enthusiastic. "Comrade Feng Qingxiu, this is your school badge and student ID card." The other party handed it to Feng Qingxiu with both hands. On the student ID card was a black and white photo of Feng Qingxiu, which he had prepared before the report and was stamped with steel. Feng Qingxiu took it in her hand and looked at it. "Thank you, comrade." Ping Zhenkai saw Feng Qingxiu at a glance, rushed to him and gave a military salute. "Sister-in-law, are you here to go to school too?" A large group of soldiers with him were all from the Long Live Army, and they all said in unison, "Hello, sister-in-law." "Hello, hello." Feng Qingxiu's eyes flashed with surprise. "Aren't you going to report? Why are you all here?" Ping Zhenkai smiled and said, "Not all of them are here, there are our comrades in other departments, but most of them are in the Department of Foreign Languages, and we are all from the Department of Spanish." "Sister-in-law, you came to the Department of Spanish to report, are you also from the Department of Spanish? What are you studying? Which language?" Feng Qingxiu replied, "French department." Yes, it was the French department in the Spanish department, but she wanted to go to the medical department. Yes, foreign languages are very important to facilitate the study of foreign language medical books in the future, but to practice medicine, she needs a certificate from a medical university. The medical school of Capital University has been independent as Capital Medical College a long time ago. It is not part of Capital University now. She has not studied the past history in depth. She just wants a diploma. Whichever department she goes to is a surprise to her. After hearing Feng Qingxiu's words, Ping Zhenkai immediately pushed a young soldier next to him forward. "Sister-in-law, his name is Nai Jiangguo, and he majors in French. If you need anything, tell him and we will be on call." Ping Zhenkai said. "Sister-in-law comes to school, and we must protect her." "Yes, sister-in-law, if you need anything, please let us know. Sister-in-law, if anyone bullies you, watch how we step forward to deal with them. There are quite a few people in our army who are in the French department. They are not here right now. You will see them when you turn around. Sister-in-law, why didn't our comrade army chief send you to school?" In fact, they wanted to ask where Feng Qingxiu got the place to go to school and how many places were assigned to their army. They all knew that Feng Qingxiu was not there, so they were all curious about Feng Qingxiu's appearance. Many soldiers are straightforward people and don't mince words, but they also know that there is something wrong with asking directly. Feng Qingxiu looked at them for a few times and smiled slightly. "Comrade Lu Zhang didn't give me a place to go to school, so he was embarrassed to send me here, so he hurried back to the army. My place was specially approved by the old chief. I want me to study hard every day and learn foreign languages so that I can study medicine in the future. Many Western medicine books are in foreign languages. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1426. Upon hearing that it was the old leader's special approval, several young soldiers rubbed their heads and laughed. Slowly, more and more people came to report. Feng Qingxiu looked at it, then walked to the shade of the tree to make way for others, and observed quietly for a moment. No matter how you look at it, it seems that there are more than 10,000 people who came to report. She asked Ping Jinkai in a low voice, this year how many students have been recruited in total? Have you asked? We've asked about it. People from the army all follow the principle of knowing yourself and your enemy. Ping Jinkai replied, we found out that there are more than 2,000 students in this class. Our school has more than 1,600 students in the main campus and several hundred in the branch. Most departments have enrolled students, but some have not enrolled students, among which military students are mainly in the foreign language department. What's the reason? Why are they all arranged in the foreign language department? Feng Qingxiu felt strange. I know this. Nai Jiangguo raised his hand. This is to popularize foreign language propaganda in the army and train intelligence personnel. If we soldiers don't understand foreign languages, how can we engage in foreign intelligence? Ping Jinkai nodded, not only in the Spanish department, but also in the Eastern language department and the Russian department, 90% of the students are our military students. Feng Qingxiu suddenly realized. Although she lives in a military compound, she is not in the military. The different types of soldiers mean that her understanding is limited. The staff responsible for greeting the students were all from the workers' propaganda team and the military propaganda team. Seeing the scene and hearing their previous conversation, they couldn't help but look at each other. It seemed that they were completely unaware of Feng Qingxiu, who had been specially approved by the old leader to enroll. It is extraordinary that the workers, peasants, and soldiers are actually revolutionary comrades in arms of the commander of the long-live army. A young female soldier from the military propaganda team whispered, I heard that Comrade Feng Qingxiu was once a medical soldier and achieved first-class merit. Later, she retired due to illness. The old leader also intended for her to return to the team as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, she did not return to the team. Come to school instead. The young female soldier next to her was stunned. Is this Feng Qingxiu, that Feng Qingxiu? I never expected it. At first, many people thought they had the same name. The military propaganda team is affiliated with the two troops stationed in the capital. The military area communicates with each other, and the news is naturally well informed. No one spoke after a while. After a while, someone finally spoke and whispered, after the meeting, we will arrange for students to clean up and give Comrade Qingxiu a light job. It is not unfair, but Comrade Qingxiu was discharged from the army due to illness. His health is definitely not completely healed, we have to take care of the frail and sick comrades. Others nodded, don't worry, we all understand. Due to all kinds of damage in the past few years, Capital University is full of shabby scenes, with piles of garbage, flies and mosquitoes buzzing around, tattered doors and windows, and not a single podium or blackboard in order. Therefore, the first task of Feng Qingxiu's group of students after enrolling is to clean up. This task is the responsibility of the work propaganda team and the military propaganda team, and all the students reporting on it are organized into squads, platoons, and companies according to the military system. Squad leaders are served by students. Some platoon leaders are students and some are faculty members, but all company commanders were all from the work propaganda team and the military propaganda team. The company commander in charge of Feng Qingxiu's company was Zhou, the female soldier who said she would arrange light work for Feng Qingxiu. Zhou arranged for Feng Qingxiu to sweep the floor, wipe the blackboard, repair doors and windows, and transport garbage to the male soldiers in the company. Of course, there are also some female soldiers who claim to be equal to men and women. They work on the front line and are very busy. I was furious while checking information, but I caught a cold again when I got up early. I quickly added some water to avoid having to hang up for a long time. I will continue to update in the evening, around 9 o'clock. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1427. Feng Qingxiu hasn't done physical work for a long time. Her ideological consciousness is not as high as everyone else's. She does whatever the company commander Johyun arranges. Her attitude is positive and she doesn't take any practical actions. After 3 consecutive days of busy work, the campus of Capital University finally looked a little like the past. The opening meeting was held on September 1st, and classes started on the next day. As a result, a lot of jokes were made that day. The students recruited are of different ages and have high and low educational levels. Students with low educational levels cannot understand what the teacher is saying in class, and the classroom is noisy. Some of the soldiers, who account for half of the number, are children of farmers or even elementary school graduates. Moreover, this teacher is still a teaching assistant, not a real university teacher. Feng Qingxiu has found out clearly during these 3 days of labor that thousands of teachers and students from Capital University have been sent to other places to participate in labor reform. Now, in addition to the labor propaganda team and the military propaganda team stationed on campus, it is these teaching assistants who are the most prestigious. They were all students who had only attended college for a year and a half a few years ago, and were simply not qualified to take on the responsibilities of teachers. Facing their commotion, Feng Qingxiu huddled in a corner of the classroom and read her own book. She had learned French from the elderly at home, and because Zibao particularly liked foreign languages, she naturally worked harder. She couldn't control this kind of thing and couldn't talk too much about it. Those who could understand thought the teaching assistant did not teach well, and those who did not understand said the teaching assistant was too advanced. However, the teaching assistant could not say a bad word to them, so the first half-day course was over. Others hurried to the canteen, lunch boxes and food stamps in hand. Nai Jiangguo called to Feng Qingxiu and said, "Sister-in-law, please give me the lunch box. I will be agile and run to the front, so you don't have to squeeze in with those brothers. They all developed habits in the army." Feng Qingxiu waved her hand, "You go ahead, I'm not in a hurry." It was a big taboo for Lu Zhang to have soldiers fetch and wash his lunch boxes and bowls at will. Now that she was in school and not in the army, Feng Qingxiu was more cautious. Nai Jiangguo scratched his head, "Okay, sister-in-law, I'll go first, come here quickly, don't wait until there's no good food in the end." I don't know what he told the military students who were crowded in the front row. Anyway, as soon as Feng Qingxiu arrived in the cafeteria, they all gave up their seats to Feng Qingxiu and let her go to the front to get food. This time, Feng Qingxiu did not refuse their kindness and thanked them repeatedly. Qian Rang's military trainees include those from the Long Live Army and some from all over the world. They have humility and admiration for any military family member, and their attitude is quite enthusiastic, not based on their rank. During college, you don't have to pay tuition, you don't have to pay accommodation fees, and you don't have to pay for food, and there are also certain subsidies. Feng Qingxiu took her student ID card, food stamps and money to buy a piece of food that was neither good nor bad, which was a portion of brown rice and a portion of stir-fried vegetables with less oil and salt, and mixed them with the rice for lunch. Students with good conditions eat rice and white flour steamed buns, while students with poor conditions eat black flour steamed buns or multigrain steamed buns. Schools, like society, show all aspects of life. During the meal, many students gathered in small groups to discuss the class situation this morning. Feng Qingxiu listened quietly for a while, as if most of the classes were similar to what she had attended. A total of 1,600 to 700 students are enrolled. The number of students in each department is almost the same, with a maximum of more than 100 people, divided into 2 classes. Oh, I can't say class now, it's company. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1428. After eating and washing the lunch boxes and chopsticks, it's not yet time for class. Feng Qingxiu thought for a while and walked into the library. The library is open to everyone, and it contains many books. Because some books are banned, there are many books that are not banned. Feng Qingxiu borrowed a large pile of original foreign language books, some in French and some in English. She is currently majoring in French, which does not mean that this is the only course she takes. Her studies are not on track, so she has to work hard on her own. Time is precious, and it is a rare study time for her. There was no difference between the situation in the afternoon and the morning. The classroom was still noisy. As a result, the first class turned into a political class. I put down my studies and concentrated on studying the leader's guiding ideology, etc. The host was the cultural propaganda team or the workers' propaganda team. The person here is naturally Johyun, who was frothing on the podium and talking about some content that had nothing to do with learning. What kind of university is this? Feng Qingxiu frowned slightly. It is like this for 1 day, like this for 2 days, and still like this for 3 days. Military students are here to learn. They have a strong sense of combat readiness and urgently need to acquire foreign language knowledge. But there are no serious teachers. Report it to the top immediately. A large number of military trainees are the children of senior cadres and are not afraid of trouble. After the reaction, the school arranged for students with low educational levels to give concentrated lectures separately, teaching them from the shallower to the deeper. At first, there were dozens, then hundreds, and eventually it grew to half of the students. The lecture venue changed from a small classroom to a large auditorium. Feng Qingxiu did not participate. From what others said, she studied the teachings of Professor Ma and others seriously. Except for a few professors in the school who have not been affected, and who have been instructed by several old leaders to teach here, many other teachers and students have been transferred to other places besides normal life. Some of them have not been transferred to other places but they clean toilets and watch here. Of the gate. Professor Li, who cleans the toilet, is proficient in Japanese, and Professor Zhang, who looks after the door, is proficient in French, etc. They are all authorities in the academic world. There are quite a few professors who look after the door and clean the toilets, because there are several buildings on campus and many toilets. Some of the professors who were transferred to teach were sent to other places and then called back. During this period, they seemed to show some signs that they would correct their mistakes after realizing their mistakes, so they were a little nervous in giving lectures and did not dare to express their thoughts. There are many people who are eager to learn, and there are also many people who are not focused on studying. Professor Ma was very busy after his return, and there were too many people asking him for advice. Feng Qingxiu took 3 or 5 other classmates, including Nai Jiangguo, to ask Professor Zhang for advice in their spare time. The school did not prohibit this, and Professor Zhang was very happy. Yes, this is the attitude towards learning, Xiaoxiu, you must seize this opportunity. Professor Zhang once studied in France. His French is the purest among Capital University. He is also proficient in Russian and English. Among the teachers and students of Capital University, he is considered to be one of the better ones. Otherwise, it would not be the result of looking at the gate. What he was looking at was the gate of Capital University, not the door of the dormitory building or teaching building. During this period, I heard that Feng Qingxiu was good at medicine before going to school, but her current major was not suitable for her. After the others left one after another, Professor Zhang quietly said to her, "You go find Professor Xie who cleans the library. He is the veteran of the medical school." "Professor, I don't know whether the medical school is recruiting students or not. If it is, you can attend and you can get a certificate of completion after completing the course." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1429. Feng Qingxiu quickly found Professor Xie, a gray-haired old professor. He is very old and often cleans the library carefully. Feng Qingxiu often bumped into him when she came to borrow and return books, but she didn't know he was from the medical school. After hearing Feng Qingxiu's intention, Professor Xie sighed and said, "If you are willing to learn, that's great, that's great. You can come to me to learn, and I'm willing to teach you everything I have, but I can't go back to medical school. If you take the opportunity to sit in, there are very good and experienced professors there. You are right to learn more. If you don't seize the opportunity and study hard, you will regret it in the future." So, after minoring in English, Feng Qingxiu started studying in medical school. The medical school has also begun to enroll students, but there are only a few people, and they have no foundation. They have to learn everything from scratch. They don't study seriously. They bring in revolutionary habits and engage in activities all day long. People like Feng Qingxiu, who has advanced medical skills and studies seriously, there are really not many students, so the old professors take care of her specially. Her learning level is different from others, so taking classes together is a waste of time. Student autonomy and lax management gave Feng Qingxiu an opportunity. No matter which department students are in, they still don't have much time to study. Teaching assistants often give lectures on stage, and the labor propaganda team and the military propaganda team often organize various activities. Anyway, in Feng Qingxiu's view, this is not normal university life at all. However, she cherishes this opportunity. Probably because Feng Qingxiu often wandered around various departments and had no time to participate in group activities, some people complained slightly. Company Commander Zhou, Comrade Feng Qingxiu has no sense of unity and usually does not participate in our collective activities. That's right, when I woke up in the morning, I came to see her and told her to join the farming study together. She said she had to go to class. A female student who was in the same dormitory as Feng Qingxiu had dissatisfaction on her face. It's too unique. The first thing we need to do when we go to school is to think well. Zhou Hin put down her work, looked at the group of female students who came to see her, and said sternly, "Who in the army doesn't have a sense of unity? Don't say such things here, you just take a French class and some other courses, many of them have." She started learning grammar from scratch in the auditorium. She has a lot of time. Comrade Qingxiu has taken several courses, including French, English, Western medicine, etc. The old leader has spoken and asked her to study hard. We must support her and cannot undermine her. After hearing this sentence, no one said anything immediately. Is it specially approved by the old leader? The female student who spoke first asked in a low voice. Zhou Hin nodded, yes, it was specially approved by the old leader and recommended by the old leader. Seeing that some people were still dissatisfied, she continued, you come to study mainly to learn about agriculture, engineering, and the military. Although Comrade Feng Qingxiu is a veteran, her heart of serving the people has always prevailed. She studies hard. In order to better serve the people, don't you understand such a simple truth? The current leaders in the school are the work propaganda team and the military propaganda team. No one dared to say anything when Zhou Hin said this. Of course, the main reason is that the old leader specially approved Feng Qingxiu to study. Her main task is to study. This is to obey the old leader. The leader's instructions. After Feng Qingxiu learned about this, she quickly participated in several group activities to show her high ideological awareness, which gradually alleviated their dissatisfaction. Later, some people found out about Feng Qingxiu's family and didn't say a word regarding the enrollment events during the period. The writing is half truth and half false, with real information and random fabrications. Do not compare it with history. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1430. After a few months, study and life got back on track. Many collective activities were organized by students led by various military regions, such as exercises, field training, group meetings, etc. The work propaganda team and the military propaganda team took a backseat and were mainly responsible for under such circumstances. Feng Qingxiu was not forced to participate in the work of other departments, and Feng Qingxiu was able to get by like a fish in water. One time, Feng Qingxiu accidentally entered the territory of the Oriental Language Department. Feng Qingxiu actually met Zheng Huiwei. The other party was also very surprised, and then she was a little confused. Why did Feng Qingxiu come to school, but not her children? Facing her question, Feng Qingxiu smiled slightly. They are young. If they have a great chance in the future, they will not compete with you for a few places. And it was unexpected for me to go to school. School was about to start, and I received a special invitation from the old leader. Batch, I didn't occupy anyone's school place. I won't tell you, I have to go to class. After saying that, she hurried to the classroom of the English department. Professor Zheng is giving the lecture today, not those show-off teaching assistants. Although the learning atmosphere was not very positive, Feng Qingxiu really learned a lot because she met many good teachers. No matter how stressful her studies are, she will never forget her children at home. Being close to the school, she can often go home and occasionally live in the dormitory. In this regard, the school's management is still not too strict, and she has reason to go home. The children who are waiting to be fed need her care. Every time he leaves early and returns late, Ping Zhenkai and other comrades will be responsible for picking up and dropping off, rain or shine. No matter how short the journey was, they didn't want Feng Qingxiu to go home alone. Feng Qingxiu declined several times, but they remain the same. Sister-in-law, if you come to school with us, we have to be responsible for your personal safety. Anyway, it's only a few steps, which is not worth mentioning for our normal training. They have done this from the beginning and have persisted until now, and have no intention of changing in the future. Thank you, Zhenkai. Come in and have a drink before going back. It's getting dark and it's starting to get cold. They had dinner in the cafeteria at 6 or 7 o'clock, so Feng Qingxiu didn't leave any food. Ping Zhenkai smiled and said, "No, sister-in-law, we have to go back. You go in, we will watch you go in before leaving." Feng Qingxiu had no choice but to thank her, opened the door, and walked in. Ping Zhenkai and others left with peace of mind. After Feng Qingxiu watched them leave, she locked the door and walked into the main room. Before she entered, she heard the children's laughter. When she listened carefully, it was the voices of Wang Quilin and Chen Swiniang. Chen Swiniang and Guan Cheng often come over to help take care of the children. Lu Shui also asks someone to open a door between the two families so that Wang Quilin can bring her children to play in her home. The 4 children have endless food every day and can play everywhere. They almost went crazy playing. Every time Feng Qingxiu came home, they remembered that they had a mother, and today was no exception. Faced with this situation, Feng Qingxiu felt sad, but she couldn't blame her child. She had neglected to take care of her child when she went to school. Zhuang looked at his sister who was painting, at Lu Erxian who was jumping up and down, and at the honest Dun Dun. He jumped up and down to Feng Qingxiu. "Mom, I miss you so much." Feng Qingxiu was cured instantly. The next day was Sunday and school was not in session. Chen Swiniang wiped the tears from laughter in the corners of her eyes and said, "Er Xiang is so fun. There is no shortage of laughter at home all day long. Xiaoxiu, I just promised Er Xiang to take him to eat tomorrow. Shabu, you go to bed early, let's go together. You won't go to work tomorrow, you are busy studying every day, you don't eat well in school, you have lost more than 1 lap." Feng Qingxiu had no objection. She also wanted to take her child out for a walk. "I owe 2 more chapters today. I won't go to the hospital tomorrow, so I'll make up for it seriously."